Hello, everybody out there in video land. We got our radio guys going here. I think we're all set to rock and roll. This is HABSOLUTELY. My name is Paul Calamere. This is
Je suis Jean-Louis Filion.
Yeah, we got that name in there. Perfect. And we're coming to you live from the studios of 4680Q in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And man, oh man, I couldn't be happier. We got nice
Happier.
I couldn't be happier. And we got nice weather.
The weather c'est magnifique.
And I've seen 3 nice things this week.
What were their names?
Well, one's name was Canada wins the Fabulous Four, whatever that junk tournament was called.
The Fantastic Four.
Whatever it's called. Canada won it. And then we watched Saturday night as the Habs gave our nemesis, the Ottawa Senators, a good spanking, which, they're really tough. We don't usually do very well against them. And then we come back and we knock off the Carolina Hurricanes, who we haven't beat since Maurice Richard scored his last goal. And we get to Wednesday and everything's happy.
Everything is fantastic.
It's fabulous.
C'est très bien.
C'est très bien. So I'm so happy that everything's going good. And although the Numbskull 9 took us out of the playoff hunt for there a little while before this useless tournament, we're back.
My understanding, we were kind of 6 points out of the playoffs, starting right after the Fantastic Four. And since winning those 2 games, we're only 5 points out.
Yeah, we're there.
So, that's a pretty quick, win 2 games and jump a point. That's not bad.
Well, especially when we're playing in our division. So it's really 4-point games, because if they beat us, we're going to be that farther behind Ottawa and Carolina. This way, we've picked up some steam. And against Carolina, they're going to go in and beat a lot of teams.
In my mind, we're going to beat Carolina.
We did. And we did. And not only did we beat them, we beat them. There's beating a team, and there's beating them.
You know what? We played a very precise game, and the outcome was excellent.
Yeah, and it was a 60-minute game. We played balls out for 60 minutes. The guys that we expect to score scored. And you know what? It's refreshing to see them have a game like that against a really good team.
I think Carolina played a very good game.
They did. Not
but
good enough.
They just didn't finish putting the puck into the net.
But what I saw was Montreal had to jump all night. And that's great, because that's what we want. We're back to those flashes of brilliance I was talking about. I said I wasn't really upset with those games that we lost, and because we saw what this team could be during the Lucky 11.
Well, we're seeing what the team wants to become over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
this is the hockey team we want to be, and we're seeing glimpses of it during this season, and that's what's very encouraging. We didn't really see that last year.
No, we didn't see it last year. These games that we're seeing this year, like especially during the Lucky 11, it was just like it showed us what this team could be if they had consistency and everything else, and maybe a few more parts. And now we're seeing it again. So it's not that we got lucky for those Lucky 11. We played really good hockey against Stanley Cup champion teams. And now we lost it for a little while, but now we're coming back. And that's consistency, and that'll come with experience and tweaking the lineup and stuff like that. So
I think experience is a big thing.
And the experience is a big thing. Exactly. So we'll talk more about those games later. So it's time right now for
check of the weather.
Okay, it's 40 degrees out. Partly sunny. It's a little bit cloudy right now. It's partly sunny about an hour ago. And we're headed to, I'm going to give you a question here. We're headed to trivia.
Habs trivia.
Yeah, not weather trivia. We're headed
Habs trivia.
Habs trivia. So, this is a good one.
They're all good.
I think you're going to get this one. I don't know about Vinny, but maybe Vinny will too. And we'll get the viewer comments after this in the video talk a little bit. Okay, so there have been many all-star Hab defensemen over the years. Their names and numbers hang in the rafters at the Bell Center. But which Habs defenseman was the first blue liner in NHL history ever to win a Conn Smythe trophy as MVP of the playoffs?
Good question.
That's a really good question.
Good question. I have two names in my head.
Well, my problem was, when did the Conn Smythe trophy come about? That would be my first thing. If I knew that, then I could track down maybe somebody who was on the team. And who it is was a surprise to me. Not because
I tried that last week with you.
Yeah.
As to when the Ross Trophy was first given away.
Well, I would have probably never got this one because the answer is not somebody that was in my mind.
So I mean, the Conn Smythe Trophy probably came out, I'm going to guess, in the 50s.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. It definitely was around in the 60s.
So let me give you the four names here.
Absolutely.
Chris Chelios.
Wow, I mean, great. We forget that Chris Chelios was such an outstanding player for the Montreal Canadiens. I mean,
he really was.
Because he played for so long for Chicago, we kind of forget his contribution to the Le Bleu Blanc et Rouge.
Yeah, we really do. That name doesn't come up a lot when you talk about Montreal, but when you were watching him play for Montreal, you wished he would never get traded.
Yeah, you really think of Chelios being this amazing. What do they call those players who play like every game?
Iron Man.
An Iron Man for the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Number 2, Emile Bouchard.
Bouchard.
Yeah. Now we talked about him before. He was in one of our trivia questions.
What did he? He coaches for 2 games, I think, at one point.
Yeah. Well, he was a player, and he was a
coach before Toe, I think. Right?
He was a good player.
He was a great player playing with those Canadians in the 40s.
I think he was he might have been a captain at one time. I think maybe we talked about a captain or something at one point. But anyway, Emile Bouchard. Number 3, Big Bird, Larry Robinson.
Larry Robinson, what an outstanding player.
And, when you think about players in the playoffs and the guys who really stood there at the blue line and did stuff, who would you think of other than Larry Robinson? I mean, we had a lot of great defensemen.
I mean, you think of Serge Savard, you think of Larry Robinson, and you think of number 5. What was his name?
Well, J.C. Tremblay, Ralph.
No.
Baxter. It was Guy Lapointe.
You think of those 3 always together.
Yeah, and the last one is Serge Savard, by the way. So the question is, which Habs defenseman was the first blue liner in NHL history ever to win a Conn Smythe trophy as MVP of the playoffs? And this is the guy who was the first defenseman to ever win a Conn Smythe. And the Conn Smythe is different than a lot of trophies. A lot of trophies are MVP for the game, like Super Bowl, MVP of the game.
This is for a series.
But this is for the whole playoffs.
Right.
And in the last game, at the end of the last game, the sports writers all vote for who they thought was the MVP of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's not just the one game or the Stanley Cup series. No, it's the whole playoffs.
I believe Ken Dryden won the Conn Smythe Trophy before he won the Rookie of the Year.
That's a possibility because he did win it twice from what I saw.
Yeah, so like the first year when he came in, he wasn't even eligible to be Rookie of the Year.
That's right.
And he won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
That's right.
So that's the 70-71 series, I believe.
That's right. So,
and you know what? In saying that, the 2 guys that you're speaking about, Larry Robinson, and Serge Savard, they were playing with Ken Dryden.
Yeah, they were playing in those great teams of the 70s in Montreal.
They were going against Ken to win the Conn Smythe. Exactly.
So let's go through them again. Chris Chelios, Emile Bouchard, Larry Robinson, or Serge Savard.
So because of what I just said, the fact that they're going up against Kenny, competing against him to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, I'm kind of going to think, I'm just going to play this card, and I'm going to say it's Chris Chelios.
Okay.
Because I don't think the Conn Smythe Trophy was around when Butch Bouchard was playing, because I think Conn Smythe was still coaching, and I don't think they created the trophy until he retired.
Okay. That's good investigative reporting right there.
So there's my Sherlock for the day.
Okay, so what do you think out there? Who do you think was the first defenseman ever to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, and that defenseman happened to be a Hab? Chris Chelios, Emile Bouchard, Larry Robinson, Serge Savard. So, the Conn Smythe Trophy is awarded to the NHL player that was the most valuable to his team in the Stanley Cup playoffs, unlike most trophies that are awarded to the champions of a game or a series. 6 times in the history of the Conn Smythe, a player from the losing team has won the trophy. Only 6 times. But teams from the losing team in the Stanley Cup playoffs, in the finals, have actually won the trophy.
I could see Vladimir Tetryak. Was that
Tretiak.
I could see him winning a Conn Smythe Trophy.
Yeah. The award was instituted in the
50s.
1964-65 season.
So it was the 60s. Okay, there you go.
And named after the longtime owner, GM, and head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Conn Smythe. Who was the first defenseman to win that? It was our one and only, the Senator, Serge Savard. And he won it in the 1969-70 playoffs, 1 year before another great defenseman,
Larry Robinson.
Who won the Cup in 71?
Oh, Bobby Orr?
Bobby Orr. That's right. He won it the next year.
You threw me when you said another great defenseman.
So, and I wouldn't have got it because I didn't think Serge Savard played
in 69?
In the 60s. I always remember him being kind of, I don't know, it doesn't seem like that long ago, like 50 years ago that he played.
50 years? That's a long time, buddy.
It is, but it doesn't seem that long to me. Serge Savard was on the team.
Yes.
Because he did go through the 70s and all that other stuff.
I remember Dryden, Savard, like I said, Lapointe, and Robinson.
Gainey.
Those were the
Robinson.
But those were the guys who were really shoring up the defense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're fantastic. They played great. And that's why we won so many cups. That's why.
Yeah, they were. I don't think any team iced 3 better defensemen during that time.
No. Boston had one, Bobby Orr.
Exactly. But name a couple more.
Yeah.
No.
I don't even know. Wayne Cashman?
He didn't play defense.
No, didn't he?
No.
Phil Esposito didn't play defense.
Nope.
I would say probably, what's his name there? Probably Terry O'Reilly. Maybe.
Don Orey.
Yeah, Terry O'Reilly, was he on that team? He might have been on that team.
Don't think he was a defenseman, though.
Wasn't Taz a defenseman? No?
Maybe
so. Not. See, I don't know a lot about Boston.
I don't either.
I don't clutter my brain with useless information like that.
Absolutely.
That's why this is Habsolutely, not Boston-lutely. Hey, but the Senator...
Boozalutely.
Serge Savard, the Senator, as he is known, was named one of the 100 greatest players of all time. He started with the Montreal Junior Canadiens and the Omaha Knights. He made the NHL debut with the Habs in 66-67. See, that threw me right there. I didn't think he was there that early, but he was. He played 15 seasons with the Habs, playing on 8 Stanley Cup teams.
Well, remember, as soon as Montreal, 68, we won the Cup. I think 69, we won the Cup right away. Bang, bang.
Yeah. Yeah, Toronto won it in 67, and that was it. Never to be won again. In color,
period. Never to be won again. Period.
And then we took over. The boss took over after that.
Congratulations to Mitch Marner for winning his Stanley Cup last Thursday night.
Yeah, true enough. He played great. 8 Stanley Cup teams, playing his final 2 seasons with the Winnipeg Jets.
8 Stanley Cup teams, phenomenal.
He retired in 83. See, I thought he was more current than that. That's why that threw me off this question. He was the second last active player in the NHL from the original 6 era.
Wow.
And you know what? Wayne Cashman of the Boston Bruins was the last of the original 6 to play. And the only reason he was the last,
Mm-hmm.
was because Boston went farther in the playoffs than Montreal.
Interesting.
Known for his move, the Savardian Spinorama.
The Spinorama was like famous.
Made famous by who?
Sir Savard.
Well, yeah, but who coined it?
Oh, Danny Gallivan.
Danny Gallivan, that's right. If anybody remembers Danny Gallivan.
Danny Gallivan, how could you not?
Oh, the best announcer in hockey. Savard always gave credit to Doug Harvey for that move.
I was going to say Doug Harvey when you were talking about Spinorama and you were like, who coined it? It was like I was thinking, well, I know who used to do it.
Doug Harvey.
Doug Harvey.
And that's where he got it. And Savard credited him. He says that's where he got his inspiration to give it a try in a game.
But Savard used it frequently.
Oh, all the time. A Savardian Spinorama. I remember that just like it was yesterday.
And back then, too, I mean, when, Doug Harvey did rush the puck, but it wasn't like more modern day defensemen rush the puck,
He was more stay at home.
Absolutely. You have to look after the goalie.
But he did that Spinorama on people. After his All-Star playing career, Savard went on to be GM of the Habs, served as GM of the Sherbrooke Canadians of the AHL, where he hoisted the Calder Cup, and then he was GM of the Habs in their 85, 86, and 92, 93 Stanley Cup winning seasons.
Pretty nice.
He was named to the Order of Canada and named the Knight of the National Order of Quebec. His number 18 was retired on November 18th, 2006 by the Habs. Was he number 18? He was number 18, yeah. Right? And he was named to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1986. He scored 106 goals, added 333 assists for 439 points in his NHL career. So there you go.
Fabulous.
Now I got an interesting story for you.
Fabulous.
I got an interesting story.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay. It's down in Cuba, and I went to this resort called Hotel Mojito down in Cuba.
Oh, I love mojitos.
Yeah. And in the lobby of the hotel was a plaque. A bronze plaque sitting there. So I went up and I read it. And this hotel was owned by Serge Savard.
And this is in Cuba?
Yes.
Wow.
In Cayacoco, Cuba.
Nice.
And it was called El Senador.
After him.
After him.
After his nickname.
And he built the resort with several other NHL players. I think Cujo was one of them, along with a Cuban tourist company. When built, El Senador was the biggest hotel resort in Cuba, boasting 700 rooms. When I was there, I was talking to a lot of longtime people who went there all the time, right? They'd gone there for 30 years. And they remember when he owned it.
Right.
And they said that when their kids were telling me, the old people are dead, right? But their kids were there, and they said, oh, yeah, we've been coming here for 30, 35, 40 years. Our parents came here, and we were kids. We used to play on the tennis courts with all the NHL players that went there because, of course, with Savard owning it, a lot of NHL players went down there. Dougie Gilmour and a bunch of them. Yvon Cournoyer, all these players. So they remember playing street hockey on the tennis courts in Cuba, in Cayacoco at El Senador, which was owned by Serge Savard. So that's my interesting story.
Fabulous.
That's my interesting story about Serge Savard and El Senador, the hotel he had down in Cuba. And it's on the plaque. So if you ever go to Hotel Mojito or you're ever in Cayacoco, stop at the Hotel Mojito and look at the plaque.
Sounds like a modern day Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, it's a modern day Spinorama hotel. But yeah, that's pretty neat. The little plaque tells the story of Serge Savard and the ownership. Okay, so that's my story about Mr. Savard, who was the first defenseman in the NHL to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. Video comments. 881 Slick. Was nice to meet your co-host today, Paul. Much love and respect to you both. That was Gary who was in here.
Sweet.
He had never met you before. Vince O'Donnell. Canada comes through in the most important game of the tournament. McDavid gets the O-time winner. Bennington stood tall in the nets for Canada. God, I love my country in our beautiful game of hockey. So there's some heartfelt comment right there from Vinny Houdon. Thank you, Vince. We appreciate your comments. And another one, trivia question was hard for me. You had a hard time with last week's trivia question. I'm sure it was one of the two names hardly anybody knows. Sounds like the Habs' first Hart winner goes back to the early days. Beliveau and Plante are out of the equation, so it's one of the other two guys. And Vinny was right. It was one of the other two guys named Herb Gardner. And he won the Hart Trophy, the first Habs player to win a Hart Trophy in the 26-27 season. So there's the comments. Not a lot of comments. I think too many people were excited about watching that game last week. Everybody was freaking out over it.
Well, it was a big game, obviously.
Yeah, it was a good game. I didn't see it.
It was. I mean, it ran into overtime. I mean,
oh yeah, I couldn't stay up.
Goal was fantastic. It was like
I missed. I fell asleep.
Set play from the faceoff.
Yeah, I fell asleep. I saw the replay though. It was a beautiful goal.
Oh yeah, and like Marner. I mean, kudos to him for being the primary assist on it, and that's his Stanley Cup moment because I don't think he'll ever be in the Cup. So good for him.
Yeah.
Good, so seriously, good for him.
Well, I was watching the replay and I'm going, what lunatic leaves McDavid wide open in front of the net?
Somebody who's never going to win a Stanley Cup.
Matthews.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going.
Absolutely.
And I looked at the thing and I watched for the player and
there's the difference, right? Marner sees McDavid get the face off and it goes back to the right point. He knows right away to get over into that left-hand corner, and wait for that puck to come along around the wall.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there it is.
There it is.
Now McDavid has gotten rid of Matthews because Matthews is, too busy trying to get a puck to score a goal.
Yeah.
And McDavid gets the puck back from what's his name, Marner, and it's in the net. Bing, bang, boom.
Is anybody surprised that Matthews did nothing in that tournament?
Because not at all.
In the playoffs, he does nothing every year. They should be used to it. But now, what's he been in the NHL? 12 years?
Absolutely.
Or whatever he's been in the NHL.
I have no idea, but it's no surprise.
No, it's no surprise. I don't know if anybody's surprised that he was standing there watching a beautiful play. I don't know.
No surprise. So I have a question for you now.
Okay.
So who will be the next winner from the Montreal Canadiens of the Hart Trophy?
That's the most valuable? No, what is the Hart Trophy?
Yeah, the most valuable player.
Well, I think I know who is going to win the Rookie of the Year. It's the guy on the Montreal Canadiens who is leading the scoring as a defenseman in the league right now.
But who will be the next Montreal Canadian to win the Hart Trophy?
I think... Oh, the most valuable player. We got to think of. I got to look down the road because he's probably going to win it when we go to the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup.
When we win the Stanley Cup.
And I think right now, if I had to pick one player, without picking Demidov, of course,
right?
He's not there. I would say Slafkovsky.
And I totally agree with that.
That's who I would say.
I'm right there with you on that one.
During that series, he said he wanted to play more like Tkachuk. And when he came out the first game against Ottawa, he just missed a Gordie Howe hat trick by an assist. He was throwing his body around. He had a goal and a fight. I mean, this kid, he wasn't joking when he said he wanted, and the next game he did the same thing. He was out there throwing his weight around, playing the kind of game that we want from him, and we know he can play.
Slafkovsky, I mean, we love him. He's only 20. He'll be 21 pretty soon.
Amazing.
And he's. I mean, that's what MSL is dealing with, is a very young man, and he's trying to get the best out of him. We know he has a high ceiling, and the fact that Slafkovsky, you remember what it was like when we were 20. You forget things. You don't do things the same all the time. That's what we're working towards with Slafkovsky. So that after playing that experience of playing in the NHL for another 5-6 years, he'll be doing things on point consistently.
Yeah, it's kind of, he reminds me of kind of like a baby eagle, and the mother's pushing him out of the nest. Come on, you got to learn to fly. You can do it. And all of a sudden, the thing's out of the nest, and he's flying everywhere. And that reminds me of Slavkovsky.
Slav knows how to fly.
The eagle.
He knows how to fly, but sometimes he doesn't fly straight to the right places.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I think the key with Slav is that experience, which will bring consistency.
That's it.
And that's what Slav is looking. Slav talks about he wants to play angry. And he'll talk about the fact that he'll get in a game and something won't go right. He misses a pass. He misses a shot. He misses a hit, a check. And that'll get in his mind, and he'll start forgetting about how he should be trying to play the next shift. And that's what will come with that experience, is putting those things into your mind. My favorite coach, one of my favorite coaches of all time, of the Chicago Bulls, Phil Russell, used to talk about anger is a weed, hate is the tree. And the whole thing is keeping your mind open and not clouded. And that's what we need Slav to be able to do now. Slav needs to forget about the mistakes he made on the last shift and concentrate on the next shift. And that's what he's working towards. And that's what he's talking about, though, with him getting angry, is the way he approaches that next shift.
Yeah, and he's been doing his last 2 games. He's played the way he said he wants to play, and it's paying dividends. He's got a goal in each game, and he's getting out there with his weight, doing the things that we always said he was going to do. Well, I don't mean we necessarily, but we as a whole, the Montreal Canadian fans.
We. Here's what one of my big things with this team right now is like, so we played these 2 games and we played extremely well. Okay, we won the last 2 games. We moved up a point to be in playoffs. Everything, everything is firing right now for those last 2 games. But one of the things that we need to explore, and that we'll have to take care of over the next 5 years, is playing a more physical game. And that's what impresses me with Slav, is his physical game. I know his goal scoring is going to come around. I know his passing is coming around. I'm not worried about that. When, we see Slav and he's only got 7 goals or 10 goals or on the season, I'm not concerned about that. That's going to come 2 or 3 years from now. But what I really enjoy is that he's playing more physical, that he's putting himself in front of the net and screening goaltenders, especially on PPs, but also on 5-on-5. And then the other thing is that he's going after hitting people. Okay?
Yeah, he is.
That's the big thing that I'm impressed. Do you know the category of hits per game? In the top 25 players who average about, I think the highest is about 5.7 hits per game, how many Montreal Canadiens are in that top 25?
Probably 0.
That's correct. That's correct, Watson. None. We don't have any Montreal Canadiens currently in the top 25 players for hits per game.
We got to change that.
That has to be changed. I believe that has to be changed if we want to be successful in winning a Stanley Cup in 5 years from now in our 5-year plan. And I think Slavkovsky is going to be that player for us, or definitely he's going to be one of them.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we're probably going to need, and I'll go back and do a little more research and see if a Stanley Cup winner, how many players they have in the top 25 for the HPG category.
That'd be an interesting thing to find out.
Exactly. And so,
interesting stat right there.
In the last 10 games for our friend Slavkovsky, he has had 24 hits per game. The last 10.
Not 24 hits per game.
No, he's had 24 hits.
Total in 10.
In total,
that's
over
2.
the last
4.
That's correct. Elementary, my dear Watson.
Yeah.
And But in his last 4 games, he's had 4 hits, 1 hit, 8 hits on Saturday night against Ottawa, and another 4 hits last night against Carolina.
Awesome.
Which gives you basically almost or a little over just like 4.1 maybe hits per game.
So what is a good average? What's the leader in
5.7?
5.7 is the leader.
Correct.
So he doesn't have that far to go. He's just got to throw his weight around a few more times a game.
But but what we've seen in the last 4 games, you see? So MSL, that's what MSL is all about. Coaching these young players, getting them to concentrate on the finer points of their game. That's what I'm excited about this season, is the team correcting things, the finer points of their game. And if we correct all those little things, we won't even be thinking what we need to do to be in the playoffs. We will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he kind of showed that last year.
Yes.
With Cole Caulfield. Rather than getting him to be all offense, he wanted him to play defensively too. Play a full game, the whole game, not just offense, but the defensive part of it. Learn the defensive part, and it affected Caulfield's goal production. But at the end of the day, look at him this year. He's playing both sides of the ice, and he's got, 28 goals or 28 goals, 27 goals?
I mean, it's nothing to think that Cole Caulfield scored a goal anymore.
No.
It's just like matter of fact.
Yeah, okay.
That takes me back, that takes me back to glory years of the 60s. When we would get up and we would go to school, okay? We probably wouldn't get to hear the radio. And then we might hear the score. If anything, they might tell us that Montreal played hockey last night.
Yeah.
They would talk about Toronto, but living here in Niagara Falls, we might hear that Montreal won a game last night. And then as soon as we got home, the newspaper didn't come until like 4:30, 5 o'clock, because your buddy who delivered the newspaper, he had to come home from school too, change his clothes, and then go deliver newspapers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we got the newspaper, 5:30, whatever. After we had supper and our parents read the newspaper, we got the sports section and we go through it and see who scored the goals.
Beliveau,
exactly.
Lemaire,
Jeffrey on.
Cornway.
Exactly. And and it was nothing to see those names
every night,
every time Montreal played a game in the score sheet. And that's how I feel about CC.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that game against Ottawa, we'll just get that for a second. That we've had trouble with Ottawa. We always have trouble with Ottawa. When I play them, I can never predict the score because
when you play them.
Yep, when I play Ottawa. But when they hit the Senators at home, fresh from this 2-week rest, I don't know what happened, but the bottom line is Sammy turned in a great game. I really think that this tournament, although Sammy didn't get on the ice and play, I think hanging around with these all-star players had an effect on him.
Well, for sure, and he says that.
Yeah,
he sat in the box, like he didn't get dressed for the game. But he was out practicing
with them. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so he saw the work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
He saw how guys like Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid, how seriously they took practicing for this particular tournament.
It had an effect on him. It was like a spiritual experience. And so we go out there and we beat him. And, of course, he laid down a nice 9.26 on 27 shots. Gallagher, Caulfield, Laine, Anderson, and Slav did the honors, with Susie adding 2 more assists to his point total. And he's on the way to have a point-a-game season this year, Susie.
Gallagher, Caulfield,
Laine, Anderson,
and
Slavkovsky.
So Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Laine, and Susie with 2 assists. Remember those 4 names, because we're going to hear them about last night's game.
You got it right on the money. But Ottawa gives us trouble. I don't know why. We always do have trouble when we go there.
Do we hit the casino before we get to the game?
I don't know what the hell happens.
I hate that drive out to that arena. That's got to be part of it.
Yeah, and I was so happy they beat them. That was a big game for us because Ottawa's ahead of us. And we're trying to catch up, and
They're in our division.
That was huge. That was
Toronto
huge.
on that. Are they ahead of us?
They were up in the playoff spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've lost a lot of games lately, though. They've been dumping it. They were playing really good for a while. Kachuk is out. I think he got injured in that nonsense tournament.
And, he damaged his head on somebody's, or his hand on somebody's helmet.
So we come out of that all happy, everything's good, and we go and play the Carolina Hurricanes.
All happy.
We all have teams that we just can't beat, and this is another one of them.
It's been a while since we beat Carolina.
It was 18 games or something. Some 1998. No, not 1990. 2018 or something. But anyway, whatever it is, guess what? We played a tremendous 60-minute game. We outplayed the Canes. We out-hustled the Canes. We outscored the Canes. We were the better team the whole game. And everybody was in on the action. Slaff, Laine, Susie, Hudson. I love Hudson's goal. Owen Beck got his first assist in the NHL, his first point.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love this kid, and he's getting. You see Owen Beck, and he's getting better every time he steps on the ice for Montreal.
He's getting better all the time.
He's getting. Isn't that Chicago?
Chicago did a song like that, but so did the Beatles. It's getting better all the time.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And Laine also tossed in 2 assists with his goal.
Not too shabby.
And Susie did the same.
Not too shabby for a guy who before the break was getting like 5 minutes of ice time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to see him back. We do need him. This was a brilliant win as far as I'm concerned, and I consider it a 4-point night because a lot of teams that go into Carolina are not going to beat them. So Habs picked up 2 points on all the teams that are going to Carolina, and they're not going to beat them. So a huge game. We had 2 games fresh off the 2-week rest, and we are looking like we did during the Lucky 11.
A great start to, we'll call it the second half of the season.
It really is.
Okay, first of all, that particular game, it was like completion of execution. So we've seen a lot of games where Josh Anderson will, get an amazing pass and go to the net, but the puck doesn't travel across the red line, the goal line. And that's the difference with last night's game. Things were completed, and that's so important. And that's what brings that winning attitude. That's what makes the team collectively happy, and that's because they're playing the collective game that MSL has been trying to entrench in them.
Exactly.
Okay, and what MSL has been focusing on is getting them to do like forechecking, and forechecking, leads to puck opportunities, mistakes by the other team. And, again, once you've got the puck, then you can score a goal. Then you can put it in the net.
And also, it leads to penalties.
Absolutely. So then your PPG is working.
Yes. Your power play is on the ice, and that's a good thing. It's better to have your power play on than your penalty kill on PK. Consistently. Yeah.
Yeah. And, again, he's been trying to motivate these guys to get a little more physical in their game. And that's where Slav is really leading right now. So that's fabulous as well. And then it's the consistent intensity, not letting up, playing a 60-minute game and focus. And that's what you're seeing from Samuel Montembeault. He was totally focused last night. He's playing goal line stands. He played a great game. He had real focus. He was really following the puck last night.
Did it surprise you they started him on Saturday?
Of course it did. Because I thought Dobas was going to be the goalie. But obviously, I'm not the coach. And obviously, the coach, MSL, is on the scene. And so he obviously read what was going on through speaking to Monty about his experience from playing the Fantastic Four. And then bringing that back and that ethic, which he probably brought back to the practice, and him going, okay, You've been with these guys. You've been with all these winners. You've been with champions for the last week and a half. Are you a champion? I'm challenging you, Samuel Montembaum, to show me what you learned over the last week and a half. And Monty stood up.
He went and got him a hot dog?
He stood up and did it.
No, he did. He played great. I wasn't really surprised when I saw he was starting, because this is kind of an MO of MSL. This is how he operates, and we've seen it time and time again. So I wasn't. I was just hoping that getting him back in there, he had a great game, because I didn't want to see him get shelled or anything, coming off a big high, like winning that tournament and everything, and being part of that, and being part of the great people there. I didn't want to see that happen to him. And oh, someone just yelled in the window here. Who is that?
I have no idea.
You didn't know who it was?
No.
I have no idea. What did she say?
Taya.
Kaya. Oh, yeah. I know who she is. Yes.
Okay.
Now I know. She lives right over there.
Beautiful.
I don't know if she's a Habs fan or not.
I have no idea.
But she's my fan because she stopped by to tell me who she is. You got to remember, I do a show every day in here, so I get a lot of people coming by. Anyway, you want to get into some statistics?
Well, no.
Or you want to talk about Montembaum?
I want to keep talking about Monty.
Okay, good. Goaltending.
What I loved is the fact that, so MSL said, okay, yeah, Monty, you're our goalie. Monty stood up and he played extremely well. And I think the other thing that we have to realize what's going on right now is that the team is looking to see, they're trying to say, is Samuel Montembaum going to be with us for some time? And I mean like a period of time. I mean like the next 5 to 10 years, is Monty going to be with us? And they're giving Monty every opportunity to tell them he is the goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens, or one of them, over the next 5 to 8 years. That's what they want to know. Dobas, they're not going to make that decision on Dobas this year. But for Monty, this is a critical year, because I'm not exactly sure where he is at with his contract, but they need to know probably within the next year to 2 years, is Sammy Montembaum part of the 5-6 year plan to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, all I can say is if he keeps playing like this, he could be.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. And that's what is going on right now with this team. Okay? Sure, we'd like to make the playoffs, but it's more important, more critical to see about certain individuals who we definitely want to keep and get them righted, we'll call it, to go on with our 5-year plan.
Well, I would say that if he can get us into the playoffs, I would say he's got a good shot at being around for a while.
I think if he can continue to win games like he's done for those last 2, it's definitely going to cement his spot.
Until maybe Fowler, but he's still a few years away. So
yeah, Monty was definitely impressive.
He was.
And the other guy who impressed me over the last 2 games was Patty. Patrick Laine.
Oh, Laine, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's back.
But I mean, like, two assists last night, 1 goal. The goal was a 5-on-5 goal,
which is that nice.
Owen Beck contributed to.
That's where he got his
assist.
assist.
It was nice to see that second line was like firing last night in that respect.
62 and 92.
He was playing. Laine was playing more of a full game, and so we like that. We definitely like that.
Well, yeah, him scoring 5-on-5, it would be tremendous if he could crack a few goals like that down the stretch here.
Exactly, and if he starts to exert some physicality as well, it will mean a lot to the team too.
Yeah, and he's a big guy. I mean, he is 6'4".
That's what I mean. He is a large man.
He can play that game if he wants to.
Yep.
So that's great. Statistics. Okay. Habs 27, 26, and 5 with 24 games left to play. minus 24, which I'd given up on that. I mean, it goes up and down like like what's his name?
Oh, I thought you meant something else.
like the
Johnson? Like Johnson?
like the goalie for Bruins.
Like your Johnson.
we're we're only 5 points from a wild card spot and 11 points from third spot in their division. We have some really important games coming up against teams we are battling with for that wild card spot. And if we can pull them off, we have a good shot at catching one of those spots. Now, the last wild card spot is held by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are headed right now, I did the calculations, they're headed for a 90-point season, which means that Habs have to win 67% of their games left to have a shot.
Oh, that's not so bad.
And the particular, well, it was 79% a week ago before the Final Four here, whatever that's called.
There you go.
So these big wins against the teams that are also in the mix, and there's a lot of them, including the Bruins, the Rangers, the Sens, the Columbus, and Detroit. Keep your eye on these 4-point games, like the games against the Sens on Saturday, how important they are. And if we start to see the Habs get a little bit of consistency and make that push and play like they did the last two games, 67% win rate is not out of the question. We're over a 50% now.
Amazing.
So there's your stats.
I mean, the whole thing is to keep on playing and improving, you know, and like I say, we're seeing our players play like they did in January.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
We're seeing a guy like Owen Beck maybe becoming our next Jake Evans. So, what does that mean? Does that mean we have an opportunity, if an opportunity arises for us to make a trade with Jake Evans?
Could be.
Maybe it's not so hard to take, seeing the development of Owen Beck.
Yeah, and I always thought that Owen Beck would be moving up either for Evans if he got moved, or Dvorak. And you said Dvorak. I didn't think of Dvorak so much as Evans. And now that Evans' name is being up there, but you know, Hughes, we got to March 7th. We got another week or so before the trade deadline.
But it's ticking.
It's ticking. But usually we see Montreal, their MO is to make these moves 2 or 3 weeks before the trade deadline. And they're holding on. Because I still think that in Hughes' mind, he wants to make the playoffs this year. So he doesn't want to monkey with the team too much and become sellers. They got to make a thing with Jake Evans, and it's got to be a really good deal, I think, before Hughes is going to make any kind of a move right now.
Here's the deal, okay? I believe. So Jake Evans and the Montreal Canadiens are not exactly on the same page when it comes to contract and salary.
True.
They can't get on that page in the next 5 or 6 days. I think he needs to be moved, because otherwise we're not going to have anything for him. So I think the fact that we see Owen Beck's development improving gives the GM, Ken Hughes, the confidence to make a deal for Jake Evans.
If it's there.
If it's the deal that Ken Hughes wants.
Yeah, I could agree with you.
Okay,
so I could agree with you there.
That's how I feel.
So we're sitting on it. We're not buyers or sellers, really. We're just waiting for a good deal if we get it. If not, hey, the worst thing that happened to the Habs? They keep Evans. How bad would that be?
And who knows what Ken Hughes is looking at?
True enough.
Okay,
True
who knows? There are a lot of teams out there who want to trade players. Is there a player out there that Ken Hughes really would like to be on his team, who he thinks can contribute to the 5-year plan of the Canadiens winning the Stanley Cup? And it doesn't mean that player has to stay for those 5 years, but it might help them to get a little better over the next 2 or 3 to get to that juncture.
Yeah, take them where they want to go.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we play the Sharks at home. Then we play Buffalo in Buffalo, and then Buffalo comes back to Montreal. They're our next three games.
I can't wait for that Buffalo game in Montreal because Kiss is going to perform.
Who?
Kiss.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The real Kiss, or Kiss. A Kiss tribute.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was Kiss. It's a Kiss night.
Oh, everybody's going to dress like
Kiss. It's a tribute concert.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Man, could you imagine? Do you think they got that idea from us?
Well, we went dressed up as Kiss to a lot of different places in our youth.
I mean, we got dressed up like Kiss, and we would go around to bars, and we would borrow the band's equipment and ask them if we could play 2 or 3 songs, and we would.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
It was.
And we got a lot of kisses.
We had a lot of fun.
And they weren't Halloween kisses either.
A lot of drinks, too. So what do you think? We're going to beat the Sharks? Yes.
Yes.
I'm in on the Sharks. Buffalo, yes.
We should beat Buffalo both games. Yeah. Not a problem.
Yeah. So we got 3 wins coming up.
Dobus has got to get 1 game, and I would play him in Buffalo.
6 more points. 6 more points coming right up, everybody. That's what I think. I think we can win these games.
Yeah. And that would be great. I mean, that's what we want. I mean, that's where we're headed.
And Buffalo's one of the teams we do want to beat in our division and jump. Send them backwards so they can't catch us. Okay, they're our next 3 games.
Yeah, I'm definitely playing Dobus on the road, and I'm playing Monty at home for the 2 games.
So you're playing him
Thursday, Monday.
Against Buffalo, and in Buffalo.
In Buffalo is Dobus, and Thursday and Monday we're seeing Monty.
Monty and Amante, Sammy and Sammy. Sammy, Dobus, Sammy.
Yeah, and San Jose has a horrible record. They're like 15 and 36.
Yeah, they're.
Buffalo are 24 and 27. They're right with us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. These are big games.
So they're important games. Absolutely.
Okay. Les 3 étoiles de la semaine dernière.
Ah, les 3 étoiles. You know, there are 3 players who were outstanding over the last 2 games for me. And I talked about them extensively.
Yes.
Slavkovsky.
Yes.
Patrick Laine.
Yes.
And Samuel Montembeault.
Okay.
Those are my 3 stars. And they impressed, and if they can continue doing what they've been doing and developing, it's going to mean so much to l'équipe de Canadien.
Well, we will win these 3 games for sure if they do that.
But there's one person who I want to highlight.
Okay.
Outside of those 3, and we haven't spoken.
Honorable mention.
We haven't spoken about this person at all today. But they may be. I don't know. I don't know if they're definitely are contributing to the success of this team. I don't know if they're like a hidden gem, what you want to call them.
You're talking plural, so you're talking more than one person.
No, one person, almost like euchre. You know, it's like what's that? Like a trump card.
Trump card.
Like a trump card. Well, maybe not a trump card.
Okay.
But Emil Heinemann.
Yeah, he's back, and he looks fantastic. And we lost when he was out, and he came back, and we're winning now.
So what do we make of that?
Well, what I make of it is, listen, he plays a vital role on his line. And once you lose him, then you got to start shifting things around to figure it all out. He's back. We were winning when he was there. He leaves, we lose. He comes back, we're winning. He has some kind of a magical effect on this team.
And he's a rookie.
Oh, man, wait till he gets going. He played great last night, too.
He's an older rookie, but he's a rookie. This is his rookie year.
That's right.
So he may be a very important piece to the puzzle of the 5-year plan of the Montreal Canadiens achieving their end goal of winning the Stanley Cup.
Well, he definitely has a tremendous shot. He can skate like a win.
He can put the puck in the net, not a problem. So can you imagine what this player will be like in 3 to 4 years?
Crazy.
And that's why, it will be sad to see some of these guys. I mean, I really enjoy seeing like a guy like Dvorak playing his heart out right now. I really love what Yoel Armia has done over the last 2 years with his game. He really picked it up. Josh Anderson, love the guy. He tries. He goes to the net.
He's out.
He gives it his all. Brendan Gallagher, God bless him.
Yeah, for sure.
He's the grandfather of the hockey team, though. Right?
He is. Yeah,
hey, he's the old man. So
God, how'd that happen?
So Emil Heineman could be so important to this Montreal hockey team.
Him and Beck.
And Owen Beck. I mean, here's a guy who everybody said was going to be a lower six forward, and now they're saying he could be a top six forward. Well, how about that?
My 3 stars.
Okay.
Slavkovsky, of course. He wanted to play like Tkachuk. Well, he went on and did it. And he just missed the Gordie Howe hat trick, and he was a bear out there with a goal, 5 shots, 8 hits, and a fight.
Nice. Sounds like the Rocket.
Sounds like Tkachuk to me.
Sounds like the Rocket.
He's a beast, and he's motivated. I don't know where he got all this motivation from, but he is a motivated hockey player right now.
He's angry.
This is the guy we drafted.
First.
This is the guy we drafted. This is why we got this guy.
20 years old.
And
Drew Deeks' favorite
player.
Montreal Canadian.
And if he keeps this up, mamma mia. Number 2, Sammy. Fresh from the Fantastic Four series, he's played like a champion. Delivered 2 solid wins for the Habs. And I still say that going to that tournament could have turned his career around, not just the season for him.
Fabulous.
And my 3rd one was Mr. Owen Beck. Got his first NHL point. He's been a factor in every game he's played. He's hit the post. He's had a penalty shot. He drew a penalty shot. He's getting involved, hustling, proving why he will get a spot with this team sooner than later. We keep hearing his name. There's a reason for that, everybody out there.
Absolutely.
So they're my 3. And I mean, there's the guys that you picked. I mean, Caulfield, Suzuki's headed for a point-a-game season. Geez, we got so much on this team. It's just a matter of getting it all together and getting all the ingredients for that cake.
It's the when you bake a cake, right? Sometimes you have to let it set.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah, sometimes you have a yeast that isn't working. So
absolutely.
You got to get yeast that works. It's all these ingredients, and when they all come together and you take it out of the oven, you got yourself a beauty.
It's like a pizza.
It's like a pizza. You got to have it right ratios and everything. And we're getting there. And what I like is we're seeing it. We're seeing it on the ice. The last 2 games, the lucky 11, we're seeing it. It's there. It just has to be consistent.
That's what's enjoyable, is that the team is assembling and it's moving forward.
When I'm watching it, I'm not thinking we're out of this game or we can't win this game anymore. Every game is up for grabs. And if they get it right, they win. If they don't, they lose. And it's about getting it right. And we're starting to get it right more often
than
we're not. That's right. And that's what we got to look for in this team. You got anything else, Johnny?
No, c'est fini.
C'est fini. Okay, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. That's what we saw. That's what we think. We're going to watch these games and come back next week. Wednesday at noon. Every Wednesday at noon, we're here. Absolutely. Downtown Niagara Falls. 4680Q Radio. My name is Paul K. Lemire.
Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Continue to like us. Leave comments.
Hit the subscribe button.
Share with your friends.
Good one. And it costs nothing to subscribe. All you're going to do is get a notification when we drop a video. So subscribe. It costs you nothing. And it helps us get the show out there because the algorithms of YouTube start picking up that we have more people following and comments and everything else. And we get placed in more places to people who want to watch information about the Habs. Help us out. Subscribe. See you next week.
Bonjour. Have a great day.
Au revoir, mon ami. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody that tunes in. See you later, Vinny Houdon.
Ciao, ciao.